How many of you have ever played football? Watched an NFL game? Watched a great sack on a QB? What if I told you that one in every third guy on that field would develop a dangerous and disheartening brain disease? Would you believe me? This is the future that NFL players have to look forward to. If the NFL does not make the necessary changes to their game and their concussion protocol, they are blatantly not protecting their players and leaving them at risk of developing such a dangerous and progressive disease. Now, my family has and always will be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so gruesome hits and touchdown dances are normalcy around here. However, we have a conflict of interest. My mom, being a neurotrauma expert, puts a dent in our game day ritual. So, because when my dad and I see a great defensive tackle or a QB sack, all my mother sees is the telltale signs and progression of CTE. So today I will talk about what CTE is, why it is so dangerous, and to not only NFL players but their families in the league. I will talk about what we can do to change concussion protocol in the game to protect the players, and I will also talk about how you, an everyday person, can support these changes and make a difference. So, what does CTE stand for? It is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And the National Brain Injury Research Institute defines CTE as a progressive degenerative disease which inflicts the brain of people who have suffered repeated concussions and traumatic brain injuries, such as athletes who take part in contact sports. In short, those who have gained 2 or more concussions or suffered other repeated head traumas, as seen in football, are at risk for exhibiting telltale signs of CTE. Some of the symptoms, including, but not limited to, are memory loss, impulse control, and behavioral issues involving anger or depression. The danger and magnitude of this disease is shown in the most severe and extreme case of CTE ever documented, in none other than the brain of Aaron Hernandez. Now, in 2013, you would have seen him all over the news. He was put on trial for 3 different shootings that resulted in the death of 2 men and several other injured. So what nobody could understand was why a talented and bright 27-year-old who had just signed a $40 million contract with the Patriots would throw it all away. Well, it was not until after his death by suicide that the Boston University CTE Center identified that his brain contained stage 3 CTE. The head neuropathologist, Ann Mickey, confirmed that this finding by stating, "We had found Aaron Hernandez's head stage 3 CTE, and we have never seen such a severe damage to a brain in a brain younger than 46 years. The NFL and its concussion protocol have failed to protect Aaron Hernandez. However, in the carelessness and decision not to modify the NFL concussion protocol, Aaron Hernandez's lives and the lives he took were altered forever." So although Aaron Hernandez is a very extreme case of CTE, CTE is no stranger to the players and game of the National Football League. We are currently at the peak of CTE found in the NFL players, so much so that since 2013, when CTE was discovered, CTE centers across the United States have examined a total of 91 deceased NFL players, and of that 91, 87 of them have had CTE stages in their brain. That means that 95.6% of those NFL players develop CTE. This is the truth of the National Football League. So now that you know what CTE is and how dangerous it can be, we will now take a look into some of the changes that the NFL can and should make to protect their players. In an effort to save the lives of their players and families from enduring such a spiteful disease, these necessary modifications and changes need to be made immediately. First off, hiring a neurotrauma expert to every NFL team would allow the neurotrauma expert a real-time video of the game to watch for any concussion symptoms or any concussion-causing hits that the medical personnel on staff might have missed. Being hired by the team would also give them the ability and means to halt the game if they see a player has returned to the field but is showing obvious signs of concussions, again, that the medical personnel might have missed. So this would prevent scenarios such as the real-life example of QB Jacoby Brissett of the Colts. Now, he re-entered the game. However, an unofficial neurotrauma expert saw that he was holding his head when he came up and he had a tremor in his arm that had developed since he was hit. So the neurotrauma expert made the media statement days later, NFL concussion protocol is a fraud. QB Jacoby Brissett goes back in after showing the clearest concussion signs of the season. Helmet-to-helmet hit, holds head, then goes limp, then needs help. You don't need a protocol to hold this player out of the game. Establishing a more severe penalty for NFL teams who do not follow the concussion protocol would also help in deterring the teams who are very well known for not following this protocol and not protecting their players, such as the Dallas Cowboys, the Seahawks, and even the Indianapolis Colts. So, in 2016, data collected by the National Football League franchise suggested that every NFL team made a profit of around $244 million. However, the fine amount for a first offense is only $150,000 for a first offense of not following concussion protocol. That's like fining a person $100, but they make $500,000. That's not going to put a dent in their profit, and that's not going to make them follow the protocol. However, raising this penalty to $1 million, $10 million, or suspending the team from playing a game would put a dent in their profit, and it would make them realize that they need to change something. So, now that I mentioned some of the changes that need to be made in order to protect players of this game, I will now take a look at what you can do to support this cause. To fight the growing number of players affected by this disease, we, the everyday people, like you and I, need to step up to join this cause. When supporting a cause, it is best to be informed. So you can go to the Brain Injury Research Institute online, where it has many articles that go into depth on what CTE is and how it affects not only the NFL, but other sports. If you type in NFL concussion protocol change now, you will find 3 different campaigns and a plethora of facts in need of signatures. So if you believe in this cause and in saving somebody's life, consider signing and bringing the campaign one more signature closer to going to the House and becoming a bill and passing into the NFL. Lastly, you can sign up for some of the campaign newsletters to stay informed and stay up to date on any moves the NFL makes concerning their concussion protocol. So today I have talked about what CTE is and how it's plaguing the minds of NFL players, certain changes that could have a positive impact in stunting the growth of this disease, and lastly, how we, as ordinary people, can support this cause and make a difference. So, your very signature could be the one that representative needs to bring the necessary changes to the NFL's concussion protocol and the NFL game. You could save a player's life and family from the dooming fate of CTE. You could start the change.